Good evening, folks. This is Jay from Cold Nights, and we have another great episode of the Cold Takes podcast. Tonight, we have two very special guests. We have Holyshirt from YouTube, and we have Visions, an up and coming, incredible musical artist. How are you guys doing tonight?
Uh, Pretty good, Jay.
How about
I'm
you, Jay?
doing I'm doing good, man.
Good, good. Just as a heads up, guys, weather's been crazy. So hopefully we'll make it through this without any interruptions on the power situation. But what I kind of want to do is we'll throw it over to Holyshirt first. Chayton, tell us a little bit about kind of what you do on YouTube. I know you had a little like brush with Twitter, and now you're going to be back on there. But tell us about what you get going on.
So I've been doing YouTube off and on for over a decade now. I think I started in 2011. Um, I get serious about it for a couple months at a time, and then I just lose interest because I have like really bad ADHD. I make all sorts of videos though, from Let's Plays to little edited videos like Warcraft machinimas. I dabbled in FL Studio one time and then got bored. I literally, it's like random everything, but it's mostly gaming and card openings, whether it be Magic or Pokemon cards, stuff like that.
So you're still hanging on to some of those crazy. I remember when we worked together, you had some pretty crazy Magic card stuff.
So I actually sold almost all the Magic stuff. And that is due to the illness I got in 2020. And when you're not working and you have an extensive Magic collection like that, it allowed me to survive for those years. So,
Well, that's pretty good safety net. Well,
yeah, it definitely was.
yeah, it sucks to hear that you were ill, but at least you had a way out, kind of helped you out with some of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So are you still into the modern game or no?
I stopped playing probably around late 2020. It was right before I got sick, and not because of what was going on, but I got sick obviously, and then I was thinking about getting back into it once I started to get a little bit of leeway with the doctors and the medicines and stuff. But then Wizards of the Coast just kind of shit on the game. Like there is a lot of stuff going on, and I really don't want to like get into it because I can go on for hours and rant about how the stuff they're doing, and they're pretty much selling out. And it's not the game that I grew up loving, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I certainly see, from someone that's a little more amateur than you were, but there's an awful lot of re-releases and special edition things that seem like they're money grabs.
Yeah, one of my biggest things about it was um the pulling a rare nowadays isn't even special anymore because there's like 50 different versions of one card. They're selling out and adding different universes into it. Like it makes sense for some things, like adding D&D. They also own D&D, and that kind of in the same, genre sort of thing. But I mean, like adding Walking Dead and Transformers and Rick and Morty, it's just a little weird. Doesn't feel like Magic to me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. So, Jay, in fairness, guys, you guys may not know, we all worked together for quite a few years at a
Yeah, we did.
Walmart together. So that's how we kind of met, and I got to know them both. And I remember, I would try to go around and like talk to people, and when things were kind of slow, and I remember talking to Jay, and he was telling me that he made music, and I was like, dude, I have to hear this. And so like I went home, and then a couple days went by, and then he like sent me some of it, and I was like, damn, dude, this is incredible. Chayton had kind of keyed me in maybe like a month ago that Jay was releasing a new album. So I was super excited, and I'm like, dude, I got to contact him and try to get him on the show because I really want to feature like musical people. So Jay, tell us a little bit about your history in music and what you've been up to.
So when you're asking history in music, do you mean just my history releasing music or kind of where it started, the
Yeah,
origin
like
point?
all of it, where you started, what you've been doing.
I'd say that the beginning of music for me, when I first got interested in it, was when I lived out in California as a kid. My dad used to do DJing at something called the Alano Club, which is like a sober community where I guess 12-step stuff happens. My parents were both trying to get clean and sober back then. And we'd go to these different dances and stuff that would be hosted, and it was the middle of the 90s in California. So like there was lots of hip hop music, lots of R&B, lots of different good music playing, people dancing, having fun. And I think when I look back, that is kind of when I got interested in hip hop and rap, and kind of looked at music as a really special thing. But with my own personal music, I started making music maybe when I was 16. I started writing anyways, and a friend I had in high school made a couple songs with me back in like 2009, and I took a break from doing that for a bit, and needed to grow up a little bit. Ended up homeless when I was 18, and that resolved itself when I was 20. And then I tried again to kind of put some songs out back then, and had like a little mixtape. But I didn't feel like I knew what my voice was yet. And the voice in terms of like as a writer, I didn't know what I wanted to say or how I wanted to say it. I knew I was making something. I was making music. It did sound good. I liked different things that I've done, but I didn't feel like I was there yet. So I took quite a few years off from when I was maybe 23 up until recently when I started writing again. I took like 4 or 5 years off. And then while we were all working together, I started having this idea of creating an album to kind of express the tumult of my teens and some of the issues I faced in my 20s. And now I'm 30. And I was like, I want to write an album, Millennial Blues. I want it to express a lot of the work I've had to do on myself to be able to get to a point where I feel like I have something to say, and where I feel like I am in a good spot. So I started working on that, and that's where we're at now. Millennial Blues finally was released. It was quite a process, but it's been a really cool journey to get here.
I know that I certainly, when we started talking about this, you sent me the links to it, and it's just incredible. So during the breaks, we're definitely going to play. We've selected two songs, Rabbit Hole and Steins Gate. And just before we go to those breaks, I'll have you kind of introduce them and maybe tell us a little bit about those songs. But I'm super glad to have you on. It's going to be a cool insight into that kind of industry and what's going on there. But we are a video games podcast, so I definitely want to talk to you guys a little bit about what kind of got you into gaming and what your history is there. So I'm going to throw it back to Chayton real quick. Chayton, I know that you were like a big Warcraft guy, right?
Yeah. So that didn't necessarily get me into gaming, but yeah, huge Warcraft guy. I've been playing it since 2004 off and on. And, it's like magic. I take breaks, and same thing with YouTube and stuff, take breaks and, go back to it. So I've been playing the game for more than half my life, I could say, actually, because the game's been out for that long. It's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I started playing video games when I was 5 years old. I got a Super Nintendo for my 5th birthday. So that was 1998. So I am a 90s baby. And I got that. It was great. My mom also had, I think it was a Genesis. So I played that. A couple years later, my dad got the PS1 and I got an N64. I really got into PC gaming like a few years even after that, though. Like I was 9 years old when I got into PC gaming, and I've kind of been mostly PC since. Like I've had consoles growing up and stuff, but that PC venture is what got me into the World of Warcraft and all these other games that I play now. But yeah, 9 years old, my dad was playing Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, the expansion, and I was playing that with him, and I play the remake today. So it's one of my favorite games of all time. So that's really what got me into gaming, and that's what got me into PC gaming. And then, God, Warcraft. I have so much played time in that game, it's ridiculous. Like people talk about, oh, I have 1,000 hours in this game, 1,000 hours in this game. On one character, I have 416 days of played time,
Wow.
and I have multiple characters at max level and stuff. And yeah, I just, I don't want to talk about it because I wasted my life. No,
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
passion, man.
yeah, no, it is a passion because I know I saw you. I think it was late 2020 before I got ill, Jay. I saw you at Walmart, and that whole tattoo sleeve that I got,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all World of Warcraft related. Like it's all art from the art styles from the game. It's based off of Death Knight, which Jason played WoW with me a lot too.
Yeah, during that time, especially, man.
Yeah.
When I was working nights, we'd be up from what basically the shift would have been from 10 p.m. until like 6 or 7 in the morning, sometimes until the afternoon on the days off we had, just
Yeah.
doing mythic dungeon runs and
I,
like all sorts of crazy stuff. It
I
was a
always
blast.
I always tried to give Jay my days off just to
Yeah.
make that work.
Top tier management right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh shit.
But I'll tell you, like, there's like a bad stigma out there about people that play games and devote a lot of time to them. But I totally see it as a valid hobby and passion, just like anyone else who goes home and like crochets all day,
Right.
or someone who's like an artist. Like, you're putting your time and effort into something that you enjoy. And one of the things is these games come with like a built-in community, and just like what I have on Twitter with my channel and everything. If you are a crochet expert, you have to go to like conventions and craft shows to see your community. We are in our community every day.
Right.
And I think that's something incredible. So when I hear people being like, oh, you're 39 and you're still playing games that much, and I'm like, I've made more friends playing games online and through my interactions on YouTube and Twitter than I ever did, walking through a mall or in high school.
Yeah. One of my best friends I met online when I was a teenager on the Minecraft forums back when I was like 16 or 17.
It's crazy that game's been along that around.
Yeah, that long. Yeah. Well, I turned 30 in May. So yeah, it is crazy that it's been around that long, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So what are you playing now?
I don't get to play a lot because of what my current illness is. Like I get dizzy very often, so I don't get to play a ton. I occasionally still log into World of Warcraft. Not the newer expansion. I play classic because I like to reminisce about the old times. And so a lot of people don't know that there are two versions of World of Warcraft. They pretty much re-released the original game, and then they with a few old servers of the original game, and then they have the current version. So I occasionally log into the original game, World of Warcraft Classic. I've been playing Chivalry 2, which I don't know if you've seen that, but it's like think of like Call of Duty, but with like knights. So you're just beating the crap out of somebody with an axe or a sword.
Nice.
And it's a lot of fun. The graphics are really cool, and the ragdoll effects are hilarious. Like you could just be walking and get shot with a ballista and go 100 feet into the air. Like it's incredibly funny. I'll send you a clip of it.
Yeah, I'll have to see that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But that last year I spent a little bit of time playing Way of the Hunter. I like hunting games. They let me relax a bit.
Yeah.
And then any of those ghost games, the ghost paranormal games, I love. Like Phasmophobia, Ghost Exile. Jay's played a lot of that stuff with me too.
I had to put salt down last night in front of my my attic door. For real. It sounded like there were footsteps or something upstairs and the lights kept flashing. Like, oh no.
No joke. A year or two ago, before I got really, really sick, Jason was actually in conversation to actually go real life ghost hunting with me, and I bought a bunch of equipment and stuff. Like I literally have an EMF reader, night vision camera, and all that cool shit just because I was so into the stupid game.
Something a lot of people don't know about me is when we were younger, me and my wife and my brother Kevin actually had a like it was obviously amateur, but like a paranormal investigation group. And we had actually tried to get into Danvers. We may or may not have been successful in getting into the Waltham building. But we used to hit up like Vale End, Blood Cemetery. Like we were huge into it. I'm a huge believer. So I definitely get you there. But like we were always, doing the photography and looking for orbs, and we were doing like, recording sound and trying to pick things up, and then we would like analyze the sound on the computer. Like we were really into it.
Yeah, I literally bought all the equipment to do that stuff. Like I spent hundreds of dollars when I didn't have it. And because it was like right after I got sick, but like not like where I thought I would get better sort of thing. Like I wasn't like not working yet, right? I was just on leave.
Yeah.
And so I spent a bunch of money from my what is it called, my long-term disability check. I spent like $600 on like I spent like $600 on ghost hunting equipment. I bought a MacBook and everything. I'm just like, I was into it. I was getting everything.
The funny thing is, like, people joke around about it, but I'll tell the listeners, like, I've seen and heard things I can't explain.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not running like a paranormal podcast, but I could, because this there's things that are real, and there's things that you probably shouldn't mess with, and there's things you should be afraid of.
Oh, like for me, I would never touch a Ouija board in real life.
Jay, have you
Agreed.
played Phasmo?
I have not.
Oh, you should. Phasmophobia
It's
is
a lot of
awesome.
fun. There's a lot of games like it. Like it spawned this whole genre of paranormal hunting games, and it's this huge phenomenon these last 2 or 3 years.
Nice.
It's incredible. I put a lot of hours into that game too.
Good deal.
But yeah, like I am super interested in like doing the real thing. I just haven't had the time or the health to do it. Because I love that stuff too. I believe in all that.
The problem with some of that stuff, though, like we were doing it when we were really young. So when I'm 17 or 18, if I get caught, B&E, that's a different thing than if I'm 39. You know what I mean?
No,
When
I
you're
get
talking
that
about
too.
some of the buildings and stuff, like part of the reason I wouldn't do it now is I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
But I was a lot braver when I was 17 as far as what I'll legally do. Jay, this, like when you have kids and stuff, like you can't mess around. Like I have to be able to provide for my family. If I go to jail because I was trespassing in some building trying to record a video.
Yeah. I mean, whether or not you believe, let's say the people out there listening do believe, if they don't believe, if you do believe that there are spirits or ghosts or wraiths, demons, anything like that you could start interacting with, the other side of it that made me kind of nervous about it, because I'm on the fence. I'm not sure what to think. But what made me nervous is if there is some malice spirit out there, something bad that I go and interact with, ghost hunting for fun, and I bring that back, and then now I have this thing haunting me, and I have 2 kids. It's a slippery slope. Like there's lots of risks involved in it, either from the legal side or from the spiritual side. If you're gonna believe in that, it's a lot to consider.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I tell him, my cousin, who's one of my roommates, and he tells me all the time, he's just like, I got a Ouija board. I'm like, if you touch that in my house, I will throw you off my porch. Like like I am, because of the whole like malicious spirit thing, I'm like, the Ouija boards, where they come from? Like no. Oh,
Well,
you don't want to open no portal
board,
like that.
I totally, if you really look into the history of it, I think that you have a toy company, I want to say it was Milton Bradley that started with it, that maybe finds something esoteric and decides they can make some money off it, not necessarily realizing or caring how dangerous it is. So yeah, I completely agree. I wouldn't mess with them either.
So I'm gonna take this back to gaming for a second, because it has to do with gaming and paranormal here. So you know what they actually use now with like one of the best ghost hunting tools?
What's that?
It's the Xbox Kinect camera.
Nice.
Because of what it picks up and how it like recognizes like movement and stuff. you can see like not necessarily images, but like the outlines from the movements of the Kinect camera on your screen, like if something is there. It's really cool, and I thought it was a really unique way to like do stuff like that.
That is something I have never heard of. I'm gonna have to watch like a YouTube video on that.
Yeah,
It sounds
it's
really interesting.
really cool. Because I'm like, I watch all those paranormal videos all the time. Like I could even go into further like other mythologies and stuff because of like, but not just ghosts and stuff. Like I'm a big like, I like cryptids and stuff. Like that stuff is just
Yeah.
so interesting to me.
Yeah,
Um,
I can watch videos on that stuff for hours.
like the Wendigo and the Skinwalker. Oh, by far my favorite. And it's
That
just the
that's some good native mythology too.
well, yeah, I look a lot into the native stuff. Like I'm part native. I mean, my name is Native American, so like I love it.
Good deal. So before the first break, I definitely want to shoot it over to Jay to kind of talk about, your journey through gaming. So what got you into gaming, Jay? And what are you playing now?
I'd say what got me into gaming is I went over to a friend's house. I grew up, I didn't have any systems when I lived out in California, but I went over to a friend's house that did back then, and they had an N64. So I think the first game I played was maybe Donkey Kong 64.
Such a good game.
Yeah, and it was such a crazy experience because you have the controller, and when you're a little kid, your hand-eye coordination is not good or anything anyways. But then after I held the controller for a while, and I'm moving around, I'm jumping, and like I plugged into the universe in that world, that art, and it was so cool to just be able to jump around and do all sorts of different things I couldn't do in real life. It was my first experience with fantasy to that degree, because I'd read books, Bernstein Bears and stuff like that as a kid, but to actually be able to engage in the world to that degree was so amazing to me back then. So I think I got into it then, and then sometime around 2000, I want to say it was probably 2000, that Christmas, because I remember hearing about Y2K and stuff. I got a PlayStation 1, and that was my first console. I had to share it with my stepdad. He had a NASCAR game for it, but basically it was just mine. He played it maybe once in a while, and I played Crash Bandicoot on there. I played Ape Escape. I played Spyro. Like I pretty much every game I had on there, I just played all the time because I didn't have a ton of them. And one of my favorites from back then is Heart of Darkness. I don't know if you played that, Jay, but it was great.
Those
Yeah,
are
that's a
all
good
good
one.
titles.
Yeah, dude, it like Heart of Dark. I actually replayed that as an adult, and I didn't think that I could beat the game when I was a kid, but I guess I just wasn't patient enough. Like I didn't jump around long enough at the end, so I never got to the cutscene. So it was really disappointing as an adult to be like, well, all I had to do was just wait a little longer. I would have got there, but from there, yeah, I just kept playing different games. I got a Game Boy some years later, and I played Pokemon Yellow nonstop. And I remember the missing number glitches and like all the antics that came with that pre-internet, just people talking about things at school, and then the link cords and stuff, and like you said, the community within the gaming world, it connects people you wouldn't necessarily expect to get connected. So
Absolutely.
those games that I continued playing, like all the Pokemon games, they stayed with me. I played from Yellow up to Ruby and Sapphire, and at some point I stopped. I think I didn't really play Black and White, and I didn't play Sun and Moon. But recently I played the new one, um, and that's been a ton of fun. I've been playing the Violet. And
Yeah,
I
I love
logged a
that.
ton of hours into that, man. Like unexpectedly, I almost didn't buy it because of how many bad reviews that there were about it. And then I thought about it, and there are so many people, especially in my age group, like the, millennials. We like to complain about things that are sort of meant for kids. Like if a TV show gets remade or a video game gets made, it's like the Pokemon game is not good enough for our standards. it's like it is what it is. Like the gameplay is pretty fun. If you enjoy the battling side of things, it is pretty fun. If you like catching Pokemon, it's pretty fun because you can see them out in the open world. You can run up to them. You can shiny hunt a lot easier than having to just run in circles in the grass nonstop or like chain the same way. So there were like a lot of really cool things that I enjoyed about it. And I played that competitively last season up to the Master Ball rank, just with some different Pokemon I trained, and had a ton of fun with that. I was playing Skyrim quite a bit a couple months ago, but I just haven't had the time. And then when I get home from work, I don't want to sit at the computer. And with SKSE, you can't really have a controller plugged in. Like I tried to look it up. Maybe there's a way. There probably is a way, but I've looked it up, and basically the first thing on Google was like, oh, to get a controller to work, you just go and buy a console because you're on PC. Why are you using a controller? I'm like, well, it's not very helpful. Just trying to chill, trying to relax. But Skyrim is another one of those games, just a timeless classic you can continue playing. Like there's so many mods I've added to my game to make the graphics better, to add followers that I didn't know existed. People continue to make that game better and better and better and better every year. There's always something new.
For sure. So we have about a couple minutes here before the break. So we're going to be playing Rabbit Hole during the break. And I want you to take maybe, a minute or two and kind of tell us what inspired you to write that and kind of what the meaning is behind it.
Okay. I'd say with Rabbit Hole, the easiest way to relate to it is, as much as gaming can be a way for us to be passionate and to spend time, a lot of the times it can also be a way for us to detach or sort of disassociate and disconnect from what we're doing in life, and like some of the bigger problems that we have, some of the things that we don't want to deal with. That's kind of the darker side of gaming, is that you can get addicted. You can get into the loop where you want to wake up and play. It's a whole dopamine thing. Your brain kind of just gets wired to want to play games because it's easier than doing other things. So Rabbit Hole essentially is talking about the experiences I've had with sort of looking away from the things that I should look at. And it, like, instead of doing the main quest, in my life, it's like I'm off doing all this other stuff. I'm looking at drugs or women or games or something else to take my focus off of the big shit that I got to deal with. Sorry if language is...
No, you're good. You're good.
All right. But yeah, it's just like Rabbit Hole it's about kind of getting into that mode of thinking and trying to break out of it. What is it that what demons do you have? What things do you actually want to do? Maybe somebody wants to get in shape. Maybe they want to write a book. Maybe they want to start a podcast, and like, instead of doing some of those things, even if it's just being 1% better every day in your real life, spending an hour more making your bed, brushing your teeth, like doing some of the things that have been hard for me in times where I've dealt with depression. Like, instead of doing those, I'd play a game. And that had been that way since I was a kid, playing games to deal with some of the different stuff that was going on in life, moving around from home to home and in foster care, and just, I don't know if you've seen the documentary Dope Sick, but like, to have parents that are basically characters in that show. So games have always been a joy for me, but it's kind of this balancing act of making sure that although I'm enjoying them, I'm not neglecting myself outside those games.
Wow, that is some deep stuff, man. So listeners, during this break, we are going to be playing Rabbit Hole by Visions. I hope you enjoy, and we'll be right back.
What a peculiar place to have a party. Daniel, you really shouldn't be doing this. After all, we haven't been
was dead a bits. If not for firstborn and the solo trips, to give the gift to know what I hold within is gold to me. If I can control the pence, the words and ink became my closest friends. As most of the things I think has started opening, the wounds I hid underneath that lonely grin, I learned as a little itty bitty Roman kid. Cause way back when I went from home to home, it was likely that I'd be on my own, unless I hide me like the kid in Home Alone. Since it was frightening to be fighting with a host providing my lights and my clothes, maybe striking like lightning if I don't fall into line like in rows, to make the jobs nice and simple.
Demons come and go, but I'm trying to find a way to get away from getting too close to this rabbit hole. Cause I feel it pull as it flows and it doesn't wanna stay, but I know that I'll end up with a damaged soul. Demons come and go, but I'm trying to find a way to get away from getting too close to this rabbit hole. Cause I feel it pull as it flows and it doesn't wanna stay, but I know that I'll end up with a damaged soul.
So just to take a little journey back to another world line, then this where I partly discovered that trying to get my mind to recover wasn't quite so quick with a violent mother. Cause though I'd shift like tides and weather, seeing vibrant tints and silent letters, if I'd resist or try to get a head on things like buying lettuce, the plastic face that had made me better at lying would deprive the clever boy I tried to keep residing center stage with lights that caused such pressure from the weight that my face had measured in terms of iron, steel, or feather. Cause if not me, then my siblings would have been beneath her fists and devils.
Demons come and go, but I'm trying to find a way to get away from getting too close to this rabbit hole. Cause I feel it pull as it flows and it doesn't wanna stay, but I know that I'll end up with a damaged soul. Demons come and go, but I'm trying to find a way to get away from getting too close to this rabbit hole. Cause I feel it pull as it flows and it doesn't wanna stay, but I know that I'll end up with a damaged soul.
And in its name I made a sacrifice when I was just 15 with a passion like young love wouldn't leave with the passing time. It like it really couldn't reach out and capture light. When the cancer spread and then began to grow like blackened weeds within a heart of gold, my auntie asked of me while speaking low to only grow to be the decent man she knows. And so there wasn't a hint in those eyes which fadingly glow that told me I'm evil for wishing she'd go. But I didn't believe it because I had known the girl of my dreams is waiting at home, naked and longingly aching for me to be making it wetter than those tears on my face that nearly remained unchanged until I climbed out of that hole.
Demons come and go, but I'm trying to find a way to get away from getting too close to this rabbit hole. Cause I feel it pull as it flows and it doesn't wanna stay, but I know that I'll end up with a damaged soul. Demons come and go, but I'm trying to find a way to get away from getting too close to this rabbit hole. Cause I feel it pull as it flows and it doesn't wanna stay, but I know that I'll end up with a damaged soul.
And welcome back, folks. I am still here with Chayton and Jason. I hope you guys enjoyed that little musical accompaniment there. Great track, Jay. So in this segment, I kind of want to focus in on you. And my first question is, right, as a hip hop artist, who are some of your biggest influences as far as R&B and hip hop performers?
I think the number one influence for me is Idea from Idea and Abilities, and his side work he's done. Oliver Hart is one of my biggest influences. The album Firstborn is one of my favorite albums. It helped me through some times when I didn't know anybody else related to some of the stuff I was feeling and thinking. The album Firstborn really helped me. Aside from that, Slug from Atmosphere, or just Atmosphere in general. The Sage Francis is another artist that I really like within that sub genre of hip hop. But I honestly I like Snoop Dogg, and I really listened to Eazy-E a ton when I was in high school. Like I went through a ton of Eazy-E's tracks. Like just him and Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg all had this big beef back then, and like he wrote a whole album just dissing Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and it was awesome. Just I liked how he had a very unique voice, and he knew how to use that way ahead of his time. It felt like lyrical content. Eazy's not the greatest, but he's talking about his life. Outside of hip hop and rap, because I don't really just get influenced by artists in the genre. I like Radiohead quite a bit. I like some of the stuff that System of a Down's said in their music.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, just the way that they can be subtle but be so direct, and I really like that.
For sure.
Same thing with Radiohead, and yeah, I've listened to so many different genres. It's hard to say who the biggest influences are, but I know for sure Idea from Idea and Ability, Slug of Atmosphere, Sage Francis is another one. There's an artist, Greaves. He's out of Minnesota, or I think he's out of Seattle, actually. I really like Greaves. I like how he took that style to a new level. He started talking about things in such a direct way, and went into the subjective feelings and kind of saying how his experience was. And outside of music entirely, what's kind of influenced me is Haruki Murakami. He's a novelist, a Japanese novelist, and he has such a entertaining and strange way of articulating a story and building a universe that's so close to reality, but yet so bizarre and interesting.
So what were some of the works that he did that really inspired you?
Who's that? Haruki Murakami?
Yeah.
1Q84 was the first book that I read through, and that one was interesting because he kind of takes lead from 1984, George Orwell, and he goes into a more fantastical universe where there's little people that are controlling the politics of the world, but yet there's also two coinciding universes. So on one side there's two moons, and it's almost like Steins Gate in that sense. I don't know if you've watched the anime, but
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like it's a multiverse. There's two different universes, and you kind of bounce between the two, and there's two different protagonists that you're following. So to some degree, that was the first one I read. I really liked, and then there was a Wind Up Bird Chronicle, which was a very strange journey. I can't really it had such a weird way of telling its story, but it kept you hooked throughout. And a lot of these I listen to as audiobooks because I can pay attention better. Like Jaden, I have ADHD, and it's easier for me to listen to things than it is for me to try to sit there and read. But listening through the books, like there were some very descriptive scenes that detailed things you wouldn't necessarily think would be talked about in a book, and feelings and I can't do it any good trying to say, because there's so much in that book. But Wind Up Bird Chronicle, it talked about time and like life in a way that really resonated with me.
Nice.
And more recently, Killing Commendatore is a book where there's a portrait artist that is basically sick of doing portraits. He went to school to be a great artist. He did lots of abstracts in college, but when he graduates, he just ends up doing portraits. And he did that for years. He was in a marriage that was happy enough, and eventually it broke up. And then he's like, you know what? My marriage is over. I'm not doing portraits anymore. He moves to this guy's house on a mountainside, and he's just out there trying to figure out what he wants to do with art. And he ends up getting into all sorts of abstracts again, starts blending portraits with an abstract style. And after reading through that book, it made me want to start painting. And so last year I started painting for the first time, and I did some portraits that were mixed with abstracts, and tried to blend some of that abstract realism into my music.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool how like the different mediums of art can kind of blend in and inspire somebody. That's pretty neat. So definitely gonna have to check out some of his work. I wasn't really familiar with it, but now I'm like, it's piqued my interest for sure. So the next question I have for you, I know you were touching on it a little bit, Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the process of getting your music out there and getting it, actually released and published online, and that kind of side of the business?
So for me, I don't know that much about that. Grizz, who did the chorus for me in Rabbit Hole, is managing a lot of that side of things for me. But with what releases I've done just on my own with less serious projects, there's Bandcamp, and then there's SoundCloud and places like that. But from what I've seen, the process is essentially you have to sign up for a distribution software, and after you pay a certain subscription price for that, and have your account, you can then upload X amount of hours worth of music, or this many songs with this many artist categories. So if you're a label, which is kind of what Angry Boy Collaborative is, who I'm working with for my music, he can upload his music on there and mine and all these different things. It differentiates it and distributes it out. And it does most of that for you. So it goes on Spotify. Once you upload the song, you can put the lyrics to it. I'm not sure if my lyrics have been uploaded yet, but the computer does a lot of that for you. I think the bigger thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around as an artist is like, although all those songs are on these different streaming services, it's very hard to try to do all of the things you're needed to do to get anything heard. Like I don't have a huge interest in trying to be a TikTok star and to do daily videos, because it takes so much time away from me being able to write, being able to play games, being able to just chill with my kids and like play Simon Says or draw. Like there's so many other things I'd rather do than be on social media trying to figure out algorithms and stuff. So I think that's an endeavor I'm trying to figure out now. That's more important than the platforms, because that's all kind of automated now.
Yeah, that's definitely a unique struggle. Even for me, just operating on like YouTube and Twitter, trying to get attention can be tough. And the music industry, I imagine, is just as competitive. There's a lot of talented people out there that they have something to offer, and a lot of them are trying to. So I imagine there's a lot of competition out there, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition. I'm still trying to be optimistic about the community in the area, because I haven't done shows at this point. But with what interactions I've had with different people thus far in the area, trying to have people work on this album within the area, it has been kind of hot and cold. I've had some people that were really excited to work with me, and I've had other people say that they wanted to, but then they don't ever communicate back. They go ghost for like 6 months, and it's weird. Like instead of trying to encourage and build that community, kind of like how the gaming community is, it seems like some of the times it's like it's just a huge competition. It's like me and Chayton used to play World of Warcraft all the time, and we do Mythic Plus dungeons to get the best gear, best armor, and whatnot. And people who are more established don't really care all that much about helping anybody else get to that point here, which inevitably makes it so there's not that many people involved, because it all that networking stuff is a part of what music is, like to build that community with other artists.
Yeah. I've seen, luckily the atmosphere is a little different as far as like, video game YouTubers and podcasters. Like I've had some people that are much, much bigger than me that have really been willing to help out. And, there are people that are like on like the brink of like fame, and they're actually like coming on my show and helping me do content. So I definitely am glad that the community is the way it is, because there's a lot of help out there. So I do want to have you do another great, I loved that intro you did for Rabbit Hole. So the one we're going to play during this upcoming break is Steins Gate, and I kind of wanted to get your take on that and where that came from.
Okay. So Steins Gate, I just kept the title the same as the anime. I didn't know that the anime was derivative of a game, and I saw it on a Switch It was on sale a while back. I was gonna get it, but I decided not to because I still have Odyssey I'm trying to beat. I was playing Pokemon Violet all the time. I had been involved in so many other games. I knew if I got Steins Gate, it's just gonna sit there. Like I have Mortal Kombat on the Switch, haven't played it. So Steins Gate's based on a game. I watched the anime, and as I was watching the anime, it kind of goes back and forth in between two different timelines. So you meet the main character, Okabe Rintaro, and he is a mad scientist, self-proclaimed mad scientist that wants to try to find a way to build a time machine because he knows that it's possible. And he teams up with this savant girl that was a foreign exchange student, or she was studying in Japan. You know, she was there, and they end up eventually building this time machine. And the consequences of doing that are very severe. Like the two different timelines within both of those, something tragic happens in each. So then the character gets stuck trying to save one person, but every time he saves that person, the other one ends up, you know, dying, and he's in this difficult position where he has to be the one to play God and choose who's going to be the one that dies. He tries over and over and over to try to save his people. So I don't want to give too many spoilers on the anime because it is great, and it's such a smart anime. Like I think the only other anime I've seen that piqued my interest that much was Death Note. But yeah, Steins Gate goes back and forth between these two different worlds. And the themes of kind of life and death and the want to control things externally resonated with me, and overall the split back and forth between two different worlds. So on one side, you know, us as artists, like with your podcast, me with writing, Chayton doing YouTube, part of me wants to at least go and do that way more often than is possible, but then we have to go and kind of switch back and forth between these two different modes to pay our rent and to get food on the table and support ourselves, right? So then there's less time to do your passions, and Steins Gate in a way describes that back and forth struggle and how you want to see the best, you want to do the best that you can and get to where you want to be, but the burnout that you experience with it, yeah, it's a kind of metaphysical song.
Good deal. So that first song was incredible. I'm sure this one will be as well for the listeners. So coming up during this break, we have Steins Gate from Visions. We'll be right back.
Or it isn't my fucking brain that's got me drifting as I listen to this rain. And am I twisted with visions of just a man that's artistically driven with a soul that's different than the same? Because I watch as it glistens and slowly rolls right down the window's pane, and odd the prisons that fall until they're fully out of frame. And it honestly isn't something fruitful that'll pay, but I've been feeling so much wrath from all these grapes that I chase that I don't really want to think about the days that I slave, awaken and shave just to basically pace here in place. So I watch as the shades of wallowing grays seize and then swallow the day like thoughts that escape as it washes the pains that have gotten my brain so lost in this mess of awful refrain to simply let go of the stress. So I'm blessed to be alive and well for as long as time can tell, but it's like like consignment sales, exchanging moments of my life. There's some things that I've tried and failed, and other things I'd like to build, but everything always only just happens at a price. I'm blessed to be alive and well for as long as time can tell, but it's like consignment sales, exchanging moments of my life. There's some things that I've tried and failed, and other things I'd like to build, but everything always only just happens at a price. So I'm always seeing dollar signs and instances of borrowed time, but if and when the stars align, I hope that I can even see the beauty in the grand design, cause duty keeps my inner eye focused on the outline, figures from my dreams, these memories that come and go as I'm moving to and fro, and I can't just let them go. So instead I change the scenes to something different than it seems, by embracing melodies until this inner dissonance dissolves and then completely leaves. But I wonder how long I'll be watching as the clouds release water from the sky for me to drown out all these drifting themes, because someday the sun will shine and these clouds will probably find a different place for rain to fall, until it's only clearer skies. Until then I'll watch it fall from behind these broken blinds, because I can hear the call from somewhere out beyond my mind. I'm blessed to be alive and well for as long as time can tell, but it's like consignment sales, exchanging moments of my life. There's some things that I've tried and failed, other things I'd like to build, but everything always only just happens at a price. I'm blessed to be alive and well for as long as time can tell, but it's like consignment sales, exchanging moments of my life. There's some things that I've tried and failed, and other things I'd like to build, but everything always only just happens at a price.
Consider, can the universe be justifiably called infinite? Doubtful. It may not have a discernible end, but it had a beginning, and its component parts definitely have a limited cosmological shelf life. Splitting hairs or not, if history tells us anything, it's that scientists often make very poor poets. We're all just a ship of fools chasing phantoms, heedless of what really underwrites natural law.
And we are back, folks. That was a great song. Thanks again, Jay. Everyone remember his artist name is Visions. He's making some incredible stuff and working on some incredible stuff. So that kind of brings me to my last topic here for the show, and that is both of your plans for 2023. So Chayton, what do you got going on? I hear you're doing a big rebrand.
Yeah, so I'm doing a little bit of rebrand here. It's not like anything spectacular. So I originally went by Holyshirt 93. I went by Holyshirt 93 for about a decade. I'm just changing it to Holyshirt Productions because I'm breaking away from some of the gaming side, doing a lot more of the editing side, or at least I was when I was feeling a little bit better. And it allows me to uniform all my handles, because with Holyshirt 93, it's taken on a bunch of different platforms. So now I can just be Holyshirt Pro on every platform. And I mean, I have TikTok, Facebook, Twitter again. We can get into that on a different time. Twitter again, YouTube, Discord, everything really. But what I'm getting into, I stopped making content last year. I had a death in the family, because I was making pretty frequent content all last year. Kind of put me in a little bit of a depression, so I took a break around October, or actually a little bit before October, September. And I'm doing the rebrand, and I'm hoping to come back fresh sometime in February. I want to try to get a new banner and stuff and everything all like nice and pretty. I got the intro and stuff, but I want the stuff to be uniform and just intact with each other. As for content, I've been doing a lot of role playing, like I'm in like a Dungeons and Dragons group, so that's a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna do some clips of that. Some stuff into my collections. I have a huge AEW wrestling figure collection, and I'll probably make a few videos of that. Maybe some more editing. I do a lot of memes for shorts. But my goal is to make a schedule and kind of work from there. Not everything is planned out yet. That's why I'm kind of hoping mid-February is the full relaunch, but I definitely want to start making content again. Jay kind of inspired me with his podcast. Been listening every week. It's a lot of fun.
And the cool thing is they've really updated the algorithm and even the monetization for shorts. So it's something that's a lot more lucrative than it was before.
Yeah, like I've made money off of YouTube over the years. It was never a lot. Like I think total out of the decade that I've been doing this, I've made like $300. But I mean, $300 to play video games with some friends on the internet is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about redoing my Twitch again too, or I might just live stream on YouTube just because I don't really have the audience on Twitch that I do YouTube. So, but I have the audience on TikTok and stuff too, so I might do like a cross live streams with that.
Nice. Good deal. Sounds like you're gonna have a busy 2023 for sure.
Hope so.
And Jay, so what are your plans? You got any new music coming out? Are you writing? What do you got going on in 2023?
Yeah, I've been writing a ton, man. The Millennial Blues album, in a sense, was the process of looking at the things I wanted to improve in my life and acknowledging those and to start making steps in the right direction. And in the last year or so, I've made a lot of big moves to try to get things where I want them to be. And I want this next album I'm working on to reflect that growth and to be more about the world around me, if that makes sense. Like, as much as the introspection is important and it shows the world through my eyes, I think that I want to have it so I can kind of speak hope to some people that maybe need to hear a little bit more of that, and to talk about the joy that comes from waking up in the morning and being able to sit down and like play old games on the Wii with my kids or on the Switch, or just, play emulators and like, not necessarily just with gaming, but there's so much fun that I have in life on any given day, whether it's going out like I did yesterday with the kids and building the snowman, and it's just enjoying the weather out there, even though it's cold, to kind of be out there, experiencing it, feeling the air. I want to have that expressed in music, and I've been writing, trying to figure out the best way to do that as of late. I'm not sure when it'll get released. I was hoping I could get it all finished up. I still feel like I'm in the process of having those ideas form and having the experiences from life kind of shape those songs.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. So I definitely thank both of you for coming on. I think this is a great change of pace, that we talked about a lot of different subjects than just games, but we also had a lot of good discussions about games. So real quick, Chayton, where can our listeners find you on socials?
Right now it's just at Holyshirt Pro on every social. I have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and back on Twitter. Yeah, please go follow me on Twitter. I lost all my followers. I had a good following before. And if you go to my YouTube link at Holyshirt Pro, everything else is linked there, including my Discord server, which a lot of fun people you can go and game with on there.
Good deal. Good deal. Jay, where can our listeners find your music?
Check it out in the comment section below. I have the link tree set up. You should be able to just click on there. I've got the music on Spotify. I've got it on Apple Music, some other YouTube, of course. And I got Instagram on there, my Facebook page. I don't really do Twitter. Never really stuck with me, but I've been trying to do TikTok too. Just if you hit me up on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, I'll get back to you.
Good deal. Well, once again, guys, thanks for coming on. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed our guests, and I hope you enjoyed Vision's incredible music. As always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay creepy.